Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Syed Farooq Hasan back with a new episode of Sky is the Limit. Today is a very special day for me and I'm very, very happy because there was one individual, one personality who I've been trying to pursue to come as a guest in my program Sky is the Limit so that I can share his life journey with you. But it was very difficult to get hold of him. He was always very, very busy in doing something good for the society, in contributing towards Pakistan. And finally, I've managed to reach him. Today he's seated with me and I'm going to share his life journey with you. When we talk about people who do good for the society, who contribute to the cause of betterment of Pakistan, there are a lot of individuals who outshine. But this is one individual whom I'm sure most of the people have heard of, but very few would see his name on different plaques or have had the opportunity to actually come, sit and talk with him because he's very busy in work at all times. He's a bit camera shy also, but I'll try and explore his personality so that he may cause inspiration to a lot of budding, young, bright, talented Pakistanis who would be watching this show. Viewers, I have the honor of sitting with Air Commodore Shabbir Ahmad, popularly known as Shabbir Angel. Today he has given us time, so let's share his life story. He is the chairman of Rashid Memorial Welfare Trust and also he has founded Rashidabad, most of the people must have heard about it, and currently Alamabad, and he's working on the third project also. We'll all hear that in his story. Let's meet Air Commodore Shabbir Ahmad. So Shabbir, Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
First of all, thank you very much, and you can't gauge my excitement. I'm so happy to meet you and see you in person. I've been trying to do this for a long time since I started this program, and today finally it materialized. When I first heard about Rashidabad, I was very pleasantly surprised that in Pakistan we can have one place in one boundary where we can have multiple educational institutions, an orphanage, a place for special children, and all managed in a very, very efficient, proficient manner and totally for the welfare of the society. So it was an amazing concept. And I used to tell my friends that why isn't it being replicated? But now that I hear about Alamabad and now your third project also, it gives me immense pleasure to share your story with the viewers. Sir, let's start with the basics. Where were you born? Tell us something about your early life. Where did you spend your early days? Which school did you go to? How was your childhood? How many siblings are you?
We are four brothers and three sisters.
Okay, mashallah.
In fact, I was born in India, 43 before partition.
Whereabouts in India?
It's close to Jaipur.
Jaipur, okay.
That's a city of Birla, the famous
the
Indian
tycoon. Birla.
Yes. His town Pilani, so I was born there. And I'm 81 years young. So,
mashallah.
So that period, that's gone. So since my father was in the army after he opted to migrate to Pakistan, and then of course the first, I wouldn't call it war in a typical manner, but he was there on those battlefronts in Kashmir and subsequently posted to Nashera. So my basic schooling was also in, I think, 6-7 places: Nashera, Peshawar, Risalpur.
Wherever he was posted, you would change schools.
But once he retired after 65 war, then before 65 war, then we got settled in Okada. Did my matric from there.
Oh, okay.
And he was still in the army.
Okay. And what's your number in the siblings? Like
I'm the eldest.
You're the eldest.
Yeah,
so a lot of responsibility right from start. On your shoulder, huh?
That's where I tell everybody, you know, the ranks and status, the authority that you have is not an authority that's been given to you to perform a higher level of your responsibility.
That's the
even
role
in
that
service,
has been given to you.
Even in the service.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't call myself highly responsible, but I always tell my conscience to stay alive.
Fair enough.
So that's God has been kind.
MashaAllah.
So
and how were your early school days like? Were you a bright student, studious?
I was always average even till now. Believe me, I'm not modest.
Okay.
And it's not out of humility.
Okay.
That's the actual fact.
Okay.
Yes, the only thing that Allah blessed me is to realize, and that was also something like when you look at others, our teacher, his name I remember till today, of 1954-55. Diniyat. You know, normally you have a different concept of
Islamiyat.
Mullah. He was an Islamiyat teacher. His name was Maulvi Ilmdeen. God bless his soul. He was a true, I would call it, a human being to reflect. He never delivered speeches. We used to monitor him, like Holy Prophet said that, I mean, if I tell you something truth, will you believe? They said, yes, you are Sadiq and Amin. So, in fact, in the same manner, like I said, when you say school, I remember very vividly that he took us as a scout. I was in class 8th. This was one of the worst floods that Punjab had suffered.
Okay.
I think 1956 or so,
Okay.
if I'm not wrong. And we were placed as a base camp. That's Mandi Hira Singh. This is close to Dipalpur, Basirpur area.
Okay.
And he used to take special care of me because I was the shortest child, Boy Scout in that one.
Okay.
So when we reached that place, it was night gone past Maghrib. So suddenly, I mean, as a Boy Scout, you carried that dari and a pillow, just a mat and a pillow, and no pillow. You used to put the towel there.
Yeah.
And 2-3 pairs of your dresses and a PT shoe. There were no joggers then at that time.
Okay.
So we just went to sleep on the floor. I was dog tired, and he woke us up in the middle of the night. Please have something in his Punjabi dialect.
Yeah.
Puttar,
Why don't you eat something?
Why don't you eat? So we said, sir, we just want to go to sleep. But he was so affectionate teacher and so lovable. He forced us to rise and eat something. And we went to sleep again. And early morning he woke us up at Fajr time. That's where it developed, like I said today, it has that relationship of today's concept. So we told it's a school. Wrap up your bed, I mean that mat or so. I said, what kind of a school? There's nothing black about the blackboard. There's nothing white about the white walls that surround it.
It's not a typical school.
And no handrest, broken
chairs,
tables that were in front, the tops were not there, some window panes broken, fan, miserable condition. And that's where the spark came up. Let God give me life. If I have, I didn't ask of resources. I said, give me life. If I have life, I'll set my school in a rural area. So that was not a vision, innocent desire. Innocent desire.
Circumstantial desire, because of his circumstance.
Absolutely. Actually, if you look at it, God provides you circumstances at every corner and every walk of your life. How do you interpret it? How do you register it? And how does it permeate in your heart and mind?
How do you react to it?
How do you then react?
Fair enough.
So that's how.
That's how it will. We'll get to that. So you're saying that you were an average student, and what about sports, athletics, debates, and all? Were you active in that? Dramatics.
I know I was in the dramatic club in Sindh University.
Okay, in your university days.
In the university when I went there, and by the way, all along college life, after doing my matric, I'd been applying in the Air Force. Underweight, under height, under chest, under age.
Okay.
So every time I'll cross something And it carried on.
Uh-huh.
And then in University Dramatics Club, and I was a gymnastics team.
Are you in the gymnastics?
Yeah.
So you were physically, you were agile and active?
And I was right out in football.
In football also, okay.
And that I carried when I joined PF Academy.
Okay.
In fact, I broke my ankle, twisted, not broke, twisted my ankle in the football. And my instructor told me, no more football for you as long as you are under training. And that was the end of my football for the whole life.
Football career for the rest of your life.
Reason because he said you've got to stay fit for flying.
See. So, who influenced you in your formative years? Were you close to your father, your mother, any teacher? Who gave you that inspiration, which is which every student looks up to?
Of course, my mother in the field of human relationship, and in terms of realization that you owe it to the society. She never turned anybody back. Anybody knocked at the door. And obviously in the villages, people keep coming, begging something. Never turned anybody. And I used to argue with my mother. He is healthy, young. And she said, well, if Allah has directed him to knock at your door, why should he go empty-handed? So that's what is one thing that I kept on registering, that whatever capacity that you have, you are not the one to judge.
You should not challenge.
Not challenge it. You should give it. And the most part of my life where it just changed it, and that became as formed as a part of the vision, or I would call it a desire or a passion, was one of the instructors at PF Academy in Salpur, 65 war. The war had broken out. I think 6th or 7th day, Flight Lieutenant Khalid was one of our instructors. He was from the then East Pakistan.
Okay.
So he wrote a signal to the then Commander-in-Chief, innocently, as a flight lieutenant writing it to the Commander-in-Chief, that country has spent the money on me for this day. The Air Force has trained me for this day. And you locked me up in a training unit. I'd like to join the combat. So this was such a serious note that Air Force was very small. Even today, we are linked. I mean, whether it's a chief of the air staff or deputy chief or base commander, we are linked together. So that chain is not broken. So the signal reached to Air Marshal Asghar Khan, Commander-in-Chief of the Air Force. So he said, connect me to this crazy flight lieutenant.
Okay.
So he got a little scared because he thought probably the language that I've used has offended the Commander-in-Chief.
Okay.
So he was called, went there. Those days were not mobiles or so. That crank system or so.
Okay.
Anyway, he said, Khalid, I'm impressed by the language that you used, but the entire country, and particularly the Air Force, is on a high morale and imbued with that spirit. Go and join. Orders shall follow. By the way, which is your unit? He said, sir, bombers. So he said, there is one detachment at Peshawar and one at Mauripur. He said, sir, I would like to join Peshawar. Well, I'd like to fly tonight. Imagine, it's the 6th or 7th day of the war.
The spirit.
Now, look, first of all, the message what he's given to the younger generation, that you owe it to this country. I mean, there is always a purpose in life. As a soldier, of course, the purpose is, I would call it sacrosanct. So, rather than staying at peace and comfort at Rasalpur, he gave that signal and he just said, we were sitting under the tree, the whole course, because we were grounded. And he said, just want to give you a message. The day you were born, and particularly the day you stepped into uniform, your life and death, comfort, discomfort, pleasure and pain belongs to the country. Serve the humanity well. Don't hesitate to lay the life and sacrifice whatever you have.
And most of the reason we are proud of our military forces.
So he just came, shook hand, and last he came, and when he shook hand with me, I was, by virtue of my age and having done masters,
yes,
I was still considered as the senior most in the course.
Fair
Otherwise, nothing of seniority from that point of view.
Okay.
So then he turned back. Last message I want to leave: live for others.
Wow.
So when he went away, we said we have pledged to die for the country, and he says live for others. Are we going to live or die?
Are we going to die?
Because outwardly this is how we interpret it.
Yes.
But actually, the meaning was totally different.
Fair enough.
When you live for others, that means you got to live even to the last moment.
To the last moment. Serving humanity.
He went, and that's where I said, the impact that came up, I think it was 10 or 11 o'clock, we learned he took off, never to return. He was a bomber navigator. God
Such
bless
was
his
the
soul.
spirit.
So,
And we have so many examples like these in 65. How and when did you decide to join Air Force, by the way? We're talking about your school days, you're growing up, you're an average student, good in sports, active.
Not too good.
Oh, okay. but how,
average.
Who inspired you to join Air Force? Because was it your friends or some teacher who said, okay, you should go?
Actually, to step into uniform, I used to see my father.
Oh, okay.
And
he was in the army.
He was in the army. Looking at the father, and then because none of our relatives was in the Air Force, I was the first.
You were the first one. Okay.
Before me, there was another one. God bless his soul.
Okay.
But then I'm the only survivor. But then, of course, there are plenty to follow.
Your son also.
But later,
Mm-hmm.
our sports ground was such that somehow or the other it was closer to, where the aircraft used to be flying overheads, and particularly that what do you call as the jet stream that goes.
Yeah, which leaves a trail of smoke behind.
And then, of course, sometimes there used to be low-level flying aircraft, passing overhead.
So it used to fascinate you.
So that was very fascinating from that point of view. So if I have to join and in fact, like I said, I was underweight, under height, under chest. When I grew up, in height, then I was underweight, under chest, under height.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the height was all right.
Underweight and under chest.
Under chest. And one day, I went to somehow or the other, the selection center.
Recruitment center.
He waved off or overlooked, whatever it is, and he sent me to the ISSB.
Okay.
So I went to the ISSB. There were only 2 who graduated from there, in the out of the batch of 50.
The obstacles used to be 9 at that time also?
Yeah. And I still remember, since, I come from a very humble family, so we used to see the people attired coming from affluent family in the ISSB with all that bow and tie, and so we realized that it's not
your place
or so. But only 2 cleared the ISSB.
One was you?
And another, he retired as an air marshal.
Okay, mashallah.
And alhamdulillah. And I went to the ISSB again. CMB, Central Medical Board. So they now...
underweight, under chest?
Under chest. And they said deferred for 6 months.
Okay.
So we ended up at the hostel in Sydney University, and then I realized, there was an ad in the newspaper, old ad. I said, look, the age maximum is 22 years. And if I don't join the Air Force or in uniform, I can't ever. So those days there was no motorway, this super highway or so. So I went up. We didn't have much of resources that way. So it was late evening. There were no buses or so. So I stopped a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Truck driver was, from KPK, elderly fellow. And he spoke little Pashto, beta, where do you want to go? So I said, Karachi. So Kena. And then, of course, when I got down from the truck, got hold of transport, I don't remember bus or anything, and reached PF Masroor. And straightway into President CMB. I still remember his name, God bless his soul, Wing Commander Falak Sher Khan.
Okay.
And
So that was
No.
a level of confidence you had that you just
and
barged
and-
into
and
his.
I just barged in, and he said, how dare somebody enter?
Yeah.
So he called the JCO. So he looked at me. He said, please go to. I said, no, sir, I want to talk to you.
Hmm.
So he asked the JCO to stand there.
Yeah, what's the issue?
And he said, bring his dossier, the record. So it was brought in, and he said, I said, sir, I know that if I don't join the Air Force now, I can never join. But look, I want to join after doing my MSc honors. I want to join with matriculates. He said, MSc honors? Sit down.
You had done a master's?
I had appeared in the written test.
Okay.
And I had yet to go through the viva and the submission of my thesis, which I did it after the war.
And what was the majors in which?
Geology,
Geology.
with secondary as chemistry. And they said, sit down. Are you coming straight? I said, yes, sir. Have you had your breakfast? So I kept quiet. So he asked for some biscuit and cup of tea.
Tea break.
Tea break. And he said, bring the weighing scale again. So I stood up. He said, all right, I have a grace, authority for the grace for 5 pounds. So I'll give you that grace. But all this while, eat plenty of bananas, lot of milk with that jalebi or whatever it is there.
Okay. Eat
And,
sweets so that you can put on weight quick.
But zero weight. No increase. And as I reached, I received the call-up letter that don't wait for the instructions. These are the kit, report to PF Academy. So that was my joining. I still remember down the line when I was a pilot officer, flying officer, I met the president ISSB because he said surprisingly 2 had graduated in that course. So he still remembers because he had a half an hour interview with me.
Okay.
Normally 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
There.
So he said, Shabbir, I still remember. He said, I've forgotten your name. I said, so wo uniform, carried that name. So he said, Shabbir, I still remember one thing. And I knew it, that despite anything that comes, you were determined, because there was one obstacle that I could not clear. So I would come and again try. 3-4 times. I think after 5th or 6th I succeeded. I forgot about the time.
Okay.
So the GTO,
Yeah.
ground testing officer, he allowed overtime without even telling me. Because he said he's so much glued, he is not, because other obstacles he's
So
not
much focused.
focused on that one. So he said that observation came up, that you are determined to do that. So God is kind. Alhamdulillah.
Wow. So the ISSB, the Inter-Services Selection Board, that exam that you gave, this physical test that you gave, I think you have 2 minutes or some time duration in which you have to clear those obstacles.
I don't remember it offhand.
But you
it
were
was
so focused that he allowed
time
you.
was to you.
I think that was
I
destiny.
don't know,
and,
it was a monkey bridge or
and it was your belief that you will be able to make it,
Inshallah.
for that matter. So Shabbir, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after a very, very interesting conversation. We're just trying to learn more about Sir Shabbir Angel. We'll be right back after break. Welcome back to Sky's the Limit. This is Syed Farooq Hasan in conversation with Air Commodore Shabbir Ahmad, popularly known as Shabbir Angel. So Sir Shabbir, you joined Air Force after your master's about 2 months before the 1965 war broke out with India. A very, very testing and tough time span for Pakistan. And I think within the next 6 years, this was 65 war, and then we fought the 71 war also. What was the sentiment and spirit at that time when you joined? Because you had gone with big plans, you're going to learn and all, and suddenly everything was done in a very, fast and haphazard manner. How did you cope up with that?
It's just the training of the instructors and of course the units that we were there.
Yeah.
They groomed us to that an extent that we lost our own person. We are totally focused on to be part of the Air Force and part of the countryman itself. Because you remember, Quaid-e-Azam, when Pakistan was created, he said, if you are really interested to uphold the dignity, prosperity and progress of your beloved country, then you must solely and wholly put in your effort to uplift the lower masses.
Yeah.
So that was that's the turn came up in 71 war. And forget about it, I think it was my 6th or 7th
You were a
mission.
squadron leader at that time?
No, I was a flight lieutenant.
Flight lieutenant.
So it was the 6th or 7th mission of my own.
Okay.
And that night, of course, set the ball rolling. So I had taken off for Jaisalmer, and that's where that came up. I had a very senior navigator who was a 65 war veteran, and we just went, couldn't locate the target. So he came back to the initial point, went in again, then went to Jaisalmer city on the radar, came back again. And then the fuel was also short. The navigator said, "Well, probably we may have to eject." But I said, let's at least cross Indus River. But suddenly we started crossing in Indian territory 40,000 feet.
Oh.
Because then you are at danger, because you could be intercepted.
Yeah.
But then he said the only chance is because the fuel flow is half. Anyway, coming back, we just barely managed it when the red light was twinkling that the fuel is finished almost. As we came to the underground ops room, that's where the whole thing started up. So a helper used to be serving us a cup of tea or so. He said, "Sir, could I borrow some money?" I said, "Middle of the night, why do you need the money?" He said, "For the medicine for my son." So I removed the parachute and took out the wallet, and I could see the tears flowing because he could see the Indian currency and no Pakistani currency. We were given that currency so that if you have to eject,
then
you can use it.
Survival.
So I said, "Don't cry, now the ball is in my court." So I asked the flight commander, Squadron Mansoor, he's alive in Canada today, God bless him. I said, "Sir, could I borrow some money?" So he gave me his wallet, and I pulled out 2 rupees notes, because that was also part of currency at that time. He said, "Sir, sufficient little." So now I went to Squadron Mansoor. I said, "Sir, this is your wallet." He said, "I'm going for a mission." I said, "But this is your wallet." He said, "If I come back alive, I'll take it. If I don't, use it." You understand the message?
Yes.
By God Almighty.
Yeah.
He went, 6 didn't come. So there was a pin drop silent. I said, each one of us having snacks before we take off. We lost them. I don't know whose turn tonight now. Maybe all of us. So leave your perishable behind.
It could happen to anyone.
And the perishable that was the money only. So that from all those pilots and navigators, 2,900 rupees or so.
2,900 rupees.
That's the total money.
All your squadron, whatever.
Whatever the squadron strength. In that middle of the night. So the war, after it finished, all those friends who were the part of the, some of them have gone to God Almighty. We sat together that, remember, the instructor said, "Live for others." Now, those people who have gone Shaheed, so we set up Shaheed Welfare Fund under the table.
Okay.
In 1972 January. So God trained us for
bigger mission. Okay, great. And your tenure in Air Force, would you like to mention any important assignment or any unforgettable incident through your journey?
In Libya.
On deputation.
On deputation. I was placed at Tabruk, which is next to Indian border, where they had a war with Egypt about a month back. So one of our pilots who embraced Shahadat before I reached there, Talut Mirza, flight lieutenant Talut Mirza. So we realized that there's no school for the children and they'll waste that 3 years that they are there in Tabruk. So we recovered it's a long ordeal, but we recovered a building which was given to us by the Libyan authorities.
Okay.
And then of course we ran that school, developed that school 3 months to the repair of bathrooms and so and so. And then of course, as Commandant Rasalpur, I remember, ATC asked me that there's a civil aircraft that needs permission to land because they are short of fuel. said, land. So I just went in to pick up the crew myself. I had landed myself. And I was sweating in that coverall. And so the instructor pilot in that civil aircraft was very senior to me, retired from the Air Force as coordinator. So brought them, and the student rang up my wife, put up the guest room because there was no time for, they were not night clear, so they had to stay there overnight. So he went to he said, let's go for the prayers. I said, sir, let's go home. He said, no, let's go to the mosque. So I said, sir, I'm sweating. He said, let's go to the mosque. So when we went to the mosque, I realized that the man who was, in that row of mine, he was a scrounger. Every second day, he would put up, I've got a headache, couldn't sleep properly, couldn't come for duty. I've upset
Make up
stomach.
excuses. Yeah.
Absolutely, he had. So I said, this man is the best homeopath in the country. And so he sat around, and the others looking, that commandant sitting there, they also came and said, why?
What's the issue?
What's the issue? But they also came up with their, illness and sickness. So one of the JSU said, sir, my mother is not well. She's with me at home. She can't come to the mosque. I said, doesn't matter, we'll go. So I put the JSU and Squadron Akbar, and we went to that JSU. And he said, Shabbir, what you'll do is take all the checks back. Tomorrow, after preparing the medicine, if you allow, we'll make a touch and go. And in that, at the end of the runway, somebody can pick up that bag with the medicine with the names. And then he said, I'll bring 16 doctors from Peshawar. You arrange their transport. So we used to hold a medical health homeopathic camp, and we took permission from the then DMS Air, General Sabir Aziz, who's a part of Rashid welfare today.
Oh, okay.
So God bless him. So he said, Shabbir, it'll reduce the load on the normal OPD. So just go ahead. So they used to come, and we used to hold that camp.
Wow.
Everybody in sequence, like what we do in the what the LRBT does.
Okay.
Irrespective of anything in the sequence, whether you are a cook or a driver, and a wing commander comes, that same sequence.
So no differentiation between rich or poor, any class of society.
So from microfinance to the education to now the healthcare, that experience. And then if one has to register, all these things are planned by God Almighty. From 71 war onward, I had a drawing sheet, proper drawing sheet, which is roughly about, I think, 4 feet by 2 feet or so.
Oh, okay.
And on that one, based on my experience in China for the school, Turkish in the school, then Libya, that schooling, then realize, because we used to be going through that adult literacy program of Ayub Khan, then non-formal education, Nai Roshni by Junejo.
Oh, yes.
So,
Nai Roshni school.
Those editorials and other articles that used to be coming in the newspaper, we say, why have they not succeeded with that governmental support?
Yeah.
But then we realize, time short, so I'll just skip that. But then we realize that if they did not succeed, how do you think that we'll succeed?
Yeah.
So that was the whole thing that we said. If you take, education is the building block, you take it to the rural where there is hardly any educational institutions. But once you take there, you've got to take the faculty. Where will the faculty live? Put residential accommodation. The moment you put the residential accommodation, the teacher says, my mother remains sick. Where is the hospital? So create a hospital. When you create a hospital, the doctor comes and he says, accommodation, it's there. School, it's there.
Blockchain.
He said, but one of my son is handicapped. So create special school.
So create that also.
So that was only a drawing board. He said, have you gone mad? What is the estimate? I don't know what couple of billion at that time. And God bless, Air Vice Marshal Aamir. So he said, Shabbir, I envy your faith. You have no money in the pocket.
But still you're making up plans and...
So there was a discussion that took place. So ultimately they said, you don't have the land, we don't have the money that way. So Air Chief Marshal Moshaf, like being a course mate, so he was there. So he said, We joined the Air Force to fight the enemy, not amongst ourselves. Let's commit our pension. So initially there was a little silence. He said, pension? He said, not all pension, but that commutation pension. That yakmush, lump sum that you get at the retirement.
Yeah.
Then there is the monthly.
Yeah.
He said, take monthly.
But
Let's
keep
pledge
the lump
the
sum. Yeah.
let's pledge it lump sum. So 18, we pledged our lump sum. That on paper came to 25 million.
25
million at
million
that time.
Okay. And that was the seed money for this project.
By now we were retiring,
Okay.
most of us, and we realized we don't have the money to put up anything. So for 3 years, actually, physically, not metaphoric, physically we inhaled dust, because we used to come to the land and we didn't know what to do. Neither we knew how to collect donations, how to approach people, and we didn't like the approach of the other organizations.
Doing appeals and charity appeals and all.
So that's how.
And the best thing that you're telling me, Sir Shabbir, is that till now you've never made any charity appeal, and you're running all the projects that are located in Rashidabad, and they've been running successfully without any fail, without any stoppage. Where is the money coming from? Like, is it
God gives it. If you have faith, God gives it.
if you
And
believe in it?
Well, because initially when the people said we don't have the money, I said let's not rely on our pockets. They are not deep. Let's have faith in Allah. So there is a school that came up. The principal had put, the owner had put a restriction. Anybody doesn't go to Rashidabad will not be allowed to appear in the examination. So there were girls also, and it was a CS school at Karachi. Fortunately, I had gone there because I had arranged the transport for them. So the mothers were very, upset. Why have you put this condition? They said, just wait till everybody is there. I'll come up. So when he went out, when it was time of departure, he assembled all parents. Said, I'll give you the answer now for your question. He said, I want to teach the children, first of all, always aim high. Second, have faith in Allah. Don't rely on your resources. Third is, be consistent. The failures will come in the way.
Yes. It's not a smooth ride.
It's not a smooth ride. This was also told to me by Idi when I had a long discussion with him. Even when I was a group captain, I'd been holding discussions with him off and on. And he said, Shabbir, it looks very tempting with your passion that you have, but it's a rough ride. I said, sir. He said, start up, then see for yourself. But anyway, I don't want to mention what hardships we do.
Fair enough.
They are, because even prophets went through that one.
And
So
I
we are
deliberately
not done.
didn't ask about the challenges that you face. I'm sure you must. It's more than a
So
smooth ride.
Alhamdulillah, the city, what we wanted is actually, we forget about it. There are 4 elements or 5 elements in this one.
Yes.
I mean, as a Muslim that we have, you must have that namaz, what you call is the prayers, fasting, hajj, zakat.
Yeah, the 5 pillars.
5 pillars. But we forget that these are only submission to God, but it is not complete without justice. That is the most important pillar.
Yes.
It is not ibadat, but that's the part of your faith. And Holy Prophet had come to, establish that justice.
Your faith cannot be complete without
that one.
Absolutely.
I mean, a poor man was equally when he was sitting in a company, sat with the lords.
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
that is where we want to create that justice in society. Without that, everything is meaningless.
A transparent system, basically.
Like Alhamdulillah today, if you give me a second, I'll,
Sir.
Rashidabad today.
Sir,
We
please.
bought the land, but then we realized we want no smoking, no pan, no naswar, no gutka, no garbage. So the whole city is walled.
Vault.
The whole city is walled.
So there's one entrance and one exit.
Then in the school, we have 1,500 boys and girls from class 1 to matric, run by Citizen Foundation,
TCF.
TCF. We have another school, prettiest in the country. It's been designed by an Pakistani-American architect, along with his daughter architect, gratis. We never pay to the architects. So that is again 1,300 boys and girls up till FSC. Prettiest school in the province.
Oh, really? Okay.
and that's taken over our PF load to Old Boy Association.
They look after it. Okay.
Then there's a 500 children public school, residential public school.
Okay.
Where
With the hostel and boarding and everything.
Yeah, residential, and you have the children from all over the country. 25% are below the poverty line.
And on merit?
On merit, absolutely.
100% merit.
That's where I said, where is the justice if you don't have the merit?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, we don't employ anybody that he's our relative. No, just go to the organization if you're fit enough.
Fair
I know there have been calls from sometimes the minister and sometimes even the MNAs. I'm sending a employment as a teacher. I said, we don't employ like that. Send her to the hospital. If she's competent enough and if there's this place, she'll be employed. Otherwise, wait. Then we have a technical school and with 10 disciplines, electrical, mechanical and so and so. Beautiful. In the words of Dr. Ishrat Hussain, who was, he had come one day, he said, convert into university. I said, sir, no, not my job, because that's run by Hunar Foundation. Then we have an orphanage run by Aosh, Al-Khidmat, a branch of Al-Khidmat Foundation.
Yes, I know.
And then we have a school for deaf, the largest campus in the country.
Okay.
It's handed over to FESF, Family Education Services Foundation.
Okay.
And one family had given 50%, so we named it after that.
Okay.
I think we built it at that time in 500 million rupees.
Okay.
So we have in that one, I think, over 300 deaf children, boys and girls.
Okay.
It has now gone up to graduation.
MashaAllah.
Deaf graduate.
Oh.
And also it's a training institute in the whole country, run by FESF.
Okay. Okay.
Then we have a campus for the blind. There the strength is not too much, but it's run by IDARU.
By?
IDARU,
Okay.
which is there in Karachi on Nampur and
Okay.
Nawaish. About 62, 63 boys and girls. Then we have the largest campus for the physically and mentally handicapped, which has 328 as of yesterday.
Wow. And with the state-of-the-art facilities.
Absolutely, run by Darul Sakoon, and including 80 senior citizens, they live there till they die. And then comes to the health unit. Then we also have a teachers training campus, professional development center, which is again run by PF Sargodha, Old Boy Association. Then in the healthcare, we have a very large secondary hospital for the eyes.
Okay.
Operation with treatment, 500 with medicine and 50 operations per day with the lens done totally free by LRBT.
It's an in-house, like the doctors now live there?
Sir, we have 225 family accommodation.
Wow. So you must have an administrator also to run this city?
With that one, we still have another hospital for the blood transfusion, thalassemia, hemophilia.
Okay.
250 registered, 10 to 15. That's Nawaz Sultan, donor from USA, who has given us the money for the campus for the blind and campus for the physically, mentally handicapped, and even for this one. So 250 are registered, about 15 on an average blood transfusion every day, done by Fatmeed Foundation.
Yep.
And then we have built our own railway station, post office, our own bank, taken over by Mizan Bank. There is an administrator, that's also stories. One of my senior from Sindh University, he was a grade 21 from Pakistan Railways, Mr. Iqbal Samad. So he had come to see, and then he saw this one. He said, I'm resigning, coming back. Premature retirement, and he came back. So I just said, Iqbal, sir, I don't think we can afford. So he said, Shabbir, I don't need a job. I've got a job in Africa as a general manager at railways. I have declined it. They had offered it, after retirement, come over. He said, I've not come for this. I just need an accommodation to stay. And put me as chowkidar. That's this. So we put him, he said, I'm the chief volunteer here. So we put him as the chief executive also.
Wow, okay.
He served 18 years, stayed there with the family, died on the project. And 3 months before that, I received a call. I was at Rasalpur. there is somebody at the gate, sir, right 12 o'clock at night. And he says, I'm Major so-and-so. I can't open the gate at 12. And he said, hand over the telephone to him. So he said, Major Ali. I said, which Major Ali? He said, Shabbir Bhai, younger brother of Air Commodore Ali. He said, we'll talk in the morning. I left Lahore in the morning after Fajr. I did not stop at my unit. He was a POW, 71 war. Now he said, my children are married, adjusted, my wife passed away. Rest of the life I wish to spend, to serve, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
To humanity.
Because that's what we say.
Yeah.
That what we are doing actually is our duty.
Yeah.
To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And this Alamabad that was your second project, is it on the same lines as Rashidabad?
Exactly on the same line.
Same.
But the best part is, we didn't have the money.
Okay.
The Air Force again came up that we'll help you out. I said, I don't have the age and the money both. We said we'll help out.
Okay.
And that's where...
and it's in KP, right?
It's in KP between Sawabi and Jahagira.
Okay. And it's like the project is complete?
No.
Functional?
More than 50%. So the Chief of the Air Staff at that time, in collaboration and support of Speaker National Assembly at that time,
so
along with Air Commodore Aamir, who happens to be from Peshawar.
Okay. Okay.
So they were able to influence villagers, and the villagers collectively donated 125 acres of land, totally free to Pakistan Air Force.
Wow, the nearby villages.
Huh?
The nearby villages.
Nearby villages.
Okay.
And it's all contiguous body.
Wow.
So the PF.
So this is such an amazing project, and it is being replicated now. And now you're working on your third project also, I believe.
Yeah,
Education City.
Over here, the best addition is Al Khidmat. We have entered a 250 bed of hospital. Al Khidmat for Zana Shaheen Shahnawaz. That's the family total donate.
Okay.
Then we handed over the school, lower section to Kiran Foundation.
Okay.
On the same model, not teaching the children ABC, but etiquettes, manners, behaviors, talk, and
awesome.
Toddlers. Beautiful to see them. Sabina Khatri from Karachi.
Okay.
Then the senior portion we have handed over again to PF Low to Powered by Associate.
Okay.
But the best part is the orphanage, Court, Kashmir Orphanage Relief Trust.
No, but all these projects, Sir Shabbir, you're called Sir Shabbir Angel also.
Yes, sir.
And with the work that you're doing, it just reiterates my aptitude or my belief, and I'm sure many others also, that if you want to do good, you can do good. If you just submit into what is happening, then nothing is going to change. If you have to change something, you have to become part of that change and work towards it. And if your intentions are sincere, this is not a small project. Rashidabad has grown humongous, and then you've replicated in Alamabad.
Like with the people here over this Alamabad, there's one gentleman from Islamabad, Nasir Iqbal Sahab. So he's an architect and town planner. He said, I'll do it gratis. So
people want to contribute whatever way they can.
Total town planning and total designing of the hospital, the school, and the big school. The school is for 2,500 children.
Wow.
Not small. Then the hospital, 250 bed given to Al Khidmat. Then beautiful mosque. And court, they have constructed it themselves.
Great. Sir Shabbir, so much to talk about. I don't think this will do justice. Our program's duration is just 50 minutes. I don't think it'll do justice to all what you've done, and to cover it much as I wanted to. But before we wrap up, any message that you would like to give to the youth of Pakistan? We have more than 65% of the population is youth. So what would you like to tell them, advise them?
Generally, in the heart of heart, the overall condition of the country today, at times there is despondency, disappointments, frustrations. And I tell them that things have never been the same. Ever since Adam.
Dawn of humanity. Yes.
Dawn of humanity. So it swings from one end to the other end. The same Badus, they became the king of the desert there with But of course, they had certain principles to follow, given by God Almighty. So, never be disappointed from that rahmat of God Almighty. You put in your best. The bare fact is, each one is accountable on the day of judgment. So what is expected for you, for an individual? That you focus on yourself. First of all, explore your own self. Why has God created you? And once He has created, what is the purpose of my life? When you determine the purpose of your life, then, like I said, Baqaul, Dr. Ghamdi and Dr. Israr and others that you keep listening, they said that if you find that you are in the capacity to mitigate the misery of somebody, you must do so. If you don't, forget about being a Muslim, you are not a human being.
Yeah, humanity is obviously what we should all aspire for, to serve humanity. And I think what I've learned from your talk is that if you believe in yourself, if you believe you can do something, God will help you and you will be able to achieve it. And never forget the purpose of your life. The purpose of your life is not to just live for yourself, but it is to live for others. So Shabbir, thank you so very much for your time.
I only request everybody that we have little time in life left. I pray that the project, the third project which is coming up, Inshallah Ta'ala, that land which is at Kot Ghulam Muhammad, a lady who has donated us with 20 billion per year, Allah gives us that time. That's the only thing. We don't ask for longer life. We only say, give us time,
that
purposeful, meaningful.
And
pray for that one.
And Sir Shabbir, I know and I meet so many people who want to contribute to a noble cause, to a good cause, and seeing is believing. If any one of you has not visited Rashidabad, please do so and see it for yourself. See what a little effort from a group of individuals can do to the humanity or to the society as a whole. With this, we come to the end of this episode of Sky is the Limit. I am really thankful to Air Commodore Shabbir Ahmad for giving time, and we hope and pray that the latest project that he talked about is a success also, like the previous two. I will inshallah see you in another episode of Sky is the Limit. Till then,